video, I'm making nitrocellulose. I'm going to be using 3 parts sulfuric acid and 1 part nitric acid. I've already measured out 45 milliliters of sulfuric acid. So I'll add that to a beaker in an ice bath because when I add the nitric acid, it's going to get very hot. Some people use a 1-to-1 ratio of acid, but I find a 3-to-1 works and it saves on nitric acid, which is expensive. I'll also turn on my ventilation because it gives off toxic gases. Now I'm going to slowly add I need a stir bar. I'm going to slowly add my nitric acid and stir. You can see that all the fumes are getting sucked into my filter and blown outside. This is important to do, or do the experiment outside. Okay, that should do it. Now, into there, I'm going to add my cotton balls. I'm going to put some in, push them down till they're all soaked. And then determine how much more I can add. I have to make sure that they're all soaked quite well. I already made some, so I'm not making much right now. Yeah, it looks like it's enough. So now I'm going to leave that mixture to sit for 24 hours. And tomorrow I'll finish the rest. We'll be rinsing it and drying it out. And I forgot. Cover your beaker while it's sitting. Okay, it's been 12 hours. It's morning now. So I'm going to check on how it's doing. Here we go. Give it a little stir. Everything's soaked real good. So I should be able to just let that sit longer and it should turn out perfect. As you can see in here, well, you can't see like that. There. It's all soaked good. But as you can also see, it's fuming like crazy. So I'll just put that back up to the filter. Put this back on top. If you're doing it like this, make sure the spout of the beaker is aimed at your filter, because the spout is where all the gas is going to escape from. I noticed that after I stirred it last time, some of them aren't sitting as deep in the acid as before. So I'm just going to go and poke them all back down into it, because I want them in as much as possible to get the whole cotton ball to react. Sorry, I'm tired. I just got up recently. There we go. They're all nice and deep in the acid now. As I said earlier, nitrocellulose is made by treating cellulose with a mixture of sulfuric acid and nitric acid. Nitrating cellulose proceeds as nitric acid and the cellulose react to produce cellulose nitrate and water. This causes the hydroxyl groups in the cellulose to change to nitro groups. Chemically, nitrocellulose is similar to nitroglycerin and trinitrotoluene, or TNT, which also contain nitro groups. When nitrocellulose is burnt, almost all of the cotton is converted into gaseous products, including carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, water vapor, and nitrogen gas. This is why there's hardly any smoke, residue, or ash left over. Sulfuric acid is not required to nitrate the cellulose, but it acts as a catalyst to produce the nitronium ion, which is NO2+. There are 3 types of nitrocellulose. There's mononitrocellulose, dinitrocellulose, and trinitrocellulose. Here's the formula for the synthesis of trinitrocellulose. So unfortunately, reusing the acid didn't work. I just ended up with a big gooey mess. Now, it's been 24 hours, and I want to transfer the acid that's in the flask with the cotton balls to another flask because I plan on trying to reuse that acid to see if I can make flash paper out of it still. So I'm going to put a strainer on another flask. Put this down over here. I really should have brought a stand out for that. And I'm going to dump this right over that flask. Make sure all the cotton goes over it. And then I'm going to squeeze acids out by pushing it down to the bottom of the flask that I had it in. Back there, I'm going to quickly rinse out the sieve. Make sure it doesn't start eating through it. There we go. That's what's left after making that. So I'll put that over here. Put this on it. And now I'm going to wash this cotton out. Now we're at the sink. First I'm going to fill the beaker with some cold water. And I'm going to get my stirring rod, which I forgot to get. The beaker's slowly heating up because of the acids getting diluted in the water. But it won't get very hot because there's not much acid in it. So now I'm going to poke them and get some of the acid out. Stir them around and stuff. I'm going to run more water. I'm going to let it overflow so that fresh water starts flowing in and the acid starts flowing out. I'm just going to keep stirring them and squeezing them against the sides and the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to take them and let me just put the stirring rod down there. I'm going to pour them out into the or into the strainer, I mean. And first I'm going to squeeze them out with the bottom of the flask, or beaker, I mean. So, squeeze them all out. Rinse it off. So, now we have to get all the acid out. So I'm going to take all of these. I'm going to keep soaking them and squeezing it all out. Don't need it anymore. I'm going to soak them, squeeze it out. Just keep repeating that. Move them around a bit so different ones are on the outside sometimes. If you don't wash these out good enough, you won't get something that burns properly. They'll burn much too slow, and they'll leave a lot of ashes, and it will stink of nitric acid. So you want to make sure you get everything out of them. Once you're pretty sure you got everything out, squeeze all the water out. There we go. And then put them on a plate to dry. So, got a plate here. I'll put them on it and spread them out a bit again. Like fluff them back up. Makes them dry much faster. Yeah, they don't smell like acid anymore. So I think they're good. Yep, they're all odorless. Or at least the ones that I tested. Almost done. Now I'm going to leave these out for 24 hours to dry. So now I have cellulose filter papers. I don't know if you can read that. And I'm going to make them into nitrocellulose. So get my stir rod. And I'm going to transfer the acids. These are the ones left over from making nitrocellulose earlier, so you know. Actually, these fit in this beaker? No, not quite. So I'll just leave acid in that beaker. So I'll put them in one at a time. You can see it give off the fumes when I do that. That's why I got this fan and filter running. That one's covered. You want to put them one at a time and make sure that they're all completely covered. That one's covered. I don't think this little liquid is going to do this many. That one's completely covered. Well, maybe it will. That one's not quite covered yet. There we go. It's completely covered and saturated. That one. Okay, we got 3 left. Hopefully they all fit. Ooh. I'm just gonna stick with actually 2 left. I can get them. I'm determined to. And there. Now I'll leave those nitrifying for 24 hours. I forgot to put that in an ice bath, so it's not getting that hot, so I'm just going to leave it in the water bath for the 24 hours. Reusing the acid didn't work. I just ended up with a big gooey mess. But I know it does work with new acid because I made flash paper the night before using the same filter paper, but fresh acid. So what you do to get it to light well is you fluff it up, and then you can use a spark or a flame and just give it a light. So here's a piece of the flash paper made with filter paper. I'll rip a piece of it off. Show you it goes. Much slower than the cotton. It's partly because it wasn't nitrated as well, I think, but also because it's more dense, I think it burns slower. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and consider supporting me on Patreon. It would be very much appreciated and will help me make more videos.
If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe and consider supporting me on Patreon. It would be very much appreciated and will help me make more videos.